podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Welcome to Scarlets Fever, the home of Suspan Central and Westerer is Besterer.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Scarlets Fever. Joining me, Big M, as always, is Catboy and special guest Caolan. How are we doing, boys?
Very good.
Thanks for having me on, lads. It's great to be here.
So anybody who doesn't know Caolan is the go-to man for anything Munster. So host of let's get the promoting out of the way early. So you got your Red Army pod.
Yeah, got the Red Army podcast talking about Munster every week, and we had our first interview this week. Actually, we talked to Alex Nankerville, which is pretty cool. Because Munster are actually world champions. If you didn't know, we bet the Crusaders. And for anyone here who might be aligned to Bristol in any way, I'm sorry. That was the fourth place game. We bet the Crusaders. That's what matters. And then I also cover Six Nations at the moment. That yourself, you've been on already this year to talk about France, ironically. But we also talk about Six Nations on the channel as well, which is, as I was saying to you before we started recording, it's a hell of a lot easier than it was last October to recruit people to talk about Ireland at the moment, because might as well get the joke out of the way. Ireland don't make World Cup semi-finals, so last year was a lot harder.
Should we do some just quick Six Nations shout out of the way? So you got to be delighted about how Ireland are going.
Yeah, no, I am. I writing a piece this week for my own stuff and just kind of alluded to it, like this is kind of what good teams do. They just bounce back and they hit the ground running. And I know France have been poor and probably made look worse by how poor they were in Edinburgh, but like that first performance was unreal. You know, it was probably Ireland's, I think you could argue, it was Ireland's best away performance, just given how, you know, if in the Six Nations era, at least under Farrell, was Ireland's best away performance, which is really pleasing, and in Marseille as well. And then I was at the Italy game last week, set me back quite a pretty penny, as we all know. We could talk about that for an hour as well. But again, just defensively rock solid. Attack is purring. And it's ironic. A lot of discourse this week has been about Jack Crowley's kicking, and is that going to be something that comes back to bite Ireland? But looking at the stats, they're averaging 7.5 points per 22-meter entry. The attack is literally phenomenal at the moment. Like, they're scoring tries from everywhere.
So
I can see how that's confusing. I think it's because we've scored a couple of tries stemming from outside the 22.
Yeah.
I assume that's
that
how
counts as an entry. If you cross the line, surely it counts.
That's what I would have thought as well. So it's very confusing. But yeah, 7.5 points per trade, which is the best. And over double of England in last, which is, you know, Ireland-England game is probably, I hate to get ahead of ourselves, but it feels like that's the Grand Slam decider, that one.
Imagine you lose that.
I know. With the hubris that's come out of Irish media this week, if we lose that, a lot of people might have to take retirement or redundancy. Like, you know, some of the stuff that's been said about, like, everyone else has been rubbish and Ireland have been the saviour. It's like, lads, I love seeing Ireland do this well. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I love seeing, you know, our boy Jack Crowley pulling the strings at 10 and you know, Peter O'Mahony as captain. But what makes the Six Nations great is the unpredictability. If Ireland win 2 Grand Slams in a row, that's not saving the Six Nations. It's the exact opposite. You know, like, that's literally the target on our back. So if we do lose in Twickenham, which Twickenham's a tough place to go to, I know you talked about last week on the Pirate Pod, it will be, there's going to be a lot of people laughing, and rightly so. So I really hope it doesn't happen, but I just like to get out in front and say I don't condone some of those messages. So don't laugh at me, just laugh at the rest of them.
I think
you've got to be proud of yourselves. You've got to back yourselves 100%, and you've done that. You know, if you're not going to do that, what's the point? Come on.
Yeah, but like, there's no point saying that we're the saviors either. Like, that's very New Zealand of us. You know.
Well, you're joining the Rugby Championship next season, isn't it?
Yeah, I heard that, but then there's a rule you have to have made a World Cup semi-final, so c'est la vie.
Oh yeah, well, we'll take your place, don't worry.
Fair.
Yeah, so, right. So So I just wanted to ask what Caolan's thoughts of Wales are from the outside as well. You know, me and Mark talk about Wales all the time, and sometimes we get a bit sick of it. So, just Caolan, what your thoughts are on how we're getting on? No wins so far, but better than people might have thought.
Yeah, I think this is the real reason you've asked me on this week, Hugh, because you know I'm more positive on Wales than a lot of people. I just get the sense watching this Wales team that's like, okay, they're a young team, inexperienced, naive, maybe things like that. That's going to be gone in a few years. And in a few years' time, they'll have, Dowie Lake, Jack Morgan, David Jenkins, Christ Shunza, Alex Mann. I don't really know which ones are the Scarlet Bears. So I'm sorry if I'm not naming Scarlet Bears. Jurgen Lloyd is a Scarlet Bear, so I'll go with him and then I'll leave it at that. But looking at these guys and like Winnett and Dyer have really impressed me as well in the back line. I just think they're gonna come good. I don't think it'll be this year, and I think they will be 0 from 4 heading into the last weekend. And I know that'll be a woe fest of a week, and a short week as well. But I
You're going to
think they'll
hear the
end
word
up.
banana skin a lot that week.
Yeah, you will. But I think the flip side is I think they're going to be a banana skin for France, and I think Wales will give France a good game. Do
I
you
agree.
know? So I think it's a lot more tightly bunched. And that's not saying, oh, look at France, look how much they've fallen. It's not even that. I just think going to Cardiff against a Gatland team when they're written off, like you remember 2 years ago under PVAC, even. I don't know if I'm allowed to say those words when it comes to Wales. I know I can for Scarlets because
Yeah, Scarlet's coach is fine.
yeah, when PVAC broke my heart in the Aviva Stadium before, so like, listen, that's fine. But no, like going back, was it 2022? France are off the slam. They go to Cardiff on a Friday night, and Wales just set up perfectly for them. Now I know France got the job done, but that is the task when you go to Cardiff, and it's the same as Twickenham, it's the same as Dublin, it's the same as Murrayfield, and it's funny. I feel like this is the one year that no one is talking about the importance of home games in the Six Nations. It's like as if we've come out of the COVID bubble and we've just forgotten about all these things that we raved about for the last 25 years or something, or 50 years or 100 years. Going to Cardiff is a bloody tough spot, and I think France will be under pressure by the time they get to that point as well. And I think
Yep.
Wales will give them a good game. And I was impressed with Wales. I think it's funny. I think Wales, England, Scotland, Italy, France. I think they can all be accused of just being one half team so far. And I think for Wales, like that second half against Scotland, granted I didn't see a lot of it because the Munster game was on and I had to go somewhere, so I the Munster game on the phone, but like they clawed it back. And again, that's where Cardiff is a fortress. I've been there myself. It's a nervy place for an away team. And then that England game, first half, thought they were really, really good, but eventually power kills. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of what became a thing. I know a lot of people said, "Oh, George Ford was brilliant." I thought he was good, but like it was the likes of Earl. I thought Dingwall did really well at 12 and just broke Wales down. But I'm still not. I'm leaving that game more impressed with Wales than I am of England because England were 10-point favourites for a reason, and Wales were 10 points up at one stage. Like that's the difference. Maybe not 10, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
That's kind of the swing in it. So I'm really happy with Wales. I know there's the Irish thing of like, do we all hate Gatland? Some of us do, some of us don't. But the Wales will be back, and I think they'll. I don't know if there's a championship in this youth because it's very hard to say. Like especially with the way the regions
We
could
win
go.
one for no reason every few years.
That's the other side of it. Like if you said to me that Ireland, England, France, and Wales will all win one championship each over the next 4 years as well, I also wouldn't be that surprised. Because that's just the way it's like Six Nations just finds a way sometimes. So I wouldn't be surprised at that either. Like, and Gatland, like I wrote in my piece for the week, like Gatland teams have been built on a strong back row, and that is a very good Welsh back row. I'm very I thought Tommy Raffel was fantastic the first 2 games. One of the players of the championship so far, in my opinion. And statistically, he's right up there as well. I know, Hugh, you've been nerding out on the stats probably more than I have, but
Yep.
like I've just been impressed with them. I think Ireland will win. I think Ireland will get a bonus point in Dublin, and I'm not trying to biggie up to slap you in the face or anything, but that's more because I think that's what Ireland do. When Ireland win, they score tries. You know,
Hey,
they're not a
we
3-6-9 team.
we came on this pod and ranted and raved about how great the Scarlets were when we got 50 points put on us by Leinster a few weeks ago.
I
So-
mean, yeah, like if you ever want to go with a podcast title called "We Lost but We Won," that might get a couple of Leinster fans given out to you. I don't know if you know the context of that, but
No.
so
We want to learn.
after the World Cup, Johnny Sexton put up an Instagram post because obviously he'd retired, so there was a big long spiel on it. And at the very end, the last line was "We lost, but we won," because he dedicated it all to to the fans and everything. Like obviously, the Ireland fans were incredible at the World Cup, but the problem was it read like a PR thing, like it was written by like a PR specialist who failed to grasp the fact that it is a World Cup and you don't win for finishing the quarterfinal. And like, yes, the fans were amazing and everyone said it, you know, everyone from the world over, but like it kind of read like, oh no. So me being me decided, we're after playing Leinster and losing by 5 points in Dublin. What'll I title our podcast? You guessed it, we lost but we won. And I got a bit of blowback over that, but that was one of the few bits of blowback that I'm quite proud myself for.
No, well, I think you've hit the nail on the head with Wales. We're a very naive team. Like if we go more specifically, we go into that break in the second half where we had Dyer running down the 5 channel. He just pegged his ears back and went straight. You know, he could have arced in, tried to hold the last defender, maybe pin him. You know, a more experienced winger might have scored that try. You never know. But that's just one of the many things that are evolving in this team.
Yeah, but that happens though. Like that's like you could have said the same thing about France in their first year under Galtier, for instance. They were kind of a similar ilk. I remember was it Scotland they played in 2020, where they just went out, actually 2 years in a row, and they went out and they looked like a team who just knew they had a won in that kind of French kind of way. Wales at the flip side, where I think they just need to figure out how to win, like Gatland teams of old used to do. And then when they do, like I think he will turn them into a typical Welsh mentality Monsters team that once they put on that red shirt, they'll feel 10 foot taller.
The Italian players are more used to winning than the Welsh players at this point.
Yeah.
Like week in, week out, the Welsh players are losing every week. Whereas
Benetton are the most informed team of the URC. They've won their last 5 in a row. Granted, they played 2 against Zebra in the middle, but still, they've won their last 5 in a row.
Hey.
The next best is 3.
But no, so that's the Six Nations talk. So the real reason you're here is it's late for us, but tomorrow evening, Parker Scarlets, the Red Army against the Scarlets. Is that what we're going to be calling it?
Yeah, I suppose. The only thing is, for a Munster fan of my age, so I'm 23. One of my first European memories is losing to the Scarlets in a European quarterfinal over in the old Stradey Park. So
really?
I wasn't there. My dad was there.
I remember that.
Yeah, my dad was there. I wasn't there. But I still remember that quite vividly. And I was at the Pro 14, it was Pro 14, Pro 12?
12 final.
Pro
12 at the time. I was there as well in the Aviva. So but I could come on here with gritted teeth a lot of the way because Scarlets caused me quite a bit of heartbreak, but I do have a soft spot for the Scarlets. So yeah, Scarlets Red Army against Scarlets.
Scarlets won the first ever Celtic League with 12 teams and the last ever Celtic League with 12 teams. So I call that domination.
I mean, who cares if you win like 4 leagues in a row, but you don't win the first 2 URCs? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you want to know who's won a URC? Stormers, Munster. Do you want to know who hasn't? Everyone else. Yeah. But like Scarlets fans obviously get a pass. I love you all.
So you've had a nice little warm up against the Crusaders in the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how are you feeling after that run out? Do you think your boys are still going to be on fire, or is there going to be some rustiness coming tomorrow night?
I think there'll be a bit of both. There's quite a lot of changes, just like spitballing here, but like whole new front row, whole new second row, new number 8.
Yeah, but who's in that second row though?
The second row this weekend. Well, are we looking back or are we looking forward first? Because I could tell you about how we're world champions.
Oh, okay,
first,
sorry, yeah, look
forward.
back first. Sorry, yeah.
But like last time out, the second row was Gavin Coombs and Finney Mitchell, both
Never heard of
Ireland
him.
capped. Yeah, well, I mean, Gavin Coombs, you just give him the ball at the 5 meter line, he scores. But okay, whatever. But still can't get to an Ireland squad. I don't know. Anyways, we'll park that. We're finished with Ireland. We're finished. But no, to your point, it was a different looking Munster team. The weird thing is that was a 10-man bench that was named. That was a Crusaders request. So guys like Mark Donnelly, Camille Novak, Jack Daly, Daniel O'Keke, Cullum Hogan, they all got their season debut in that game.
Wow.
And then starting the game, you had the likes of Ruan Quinn, who'd barely featured, Jack O'Sullivan, who barely featured, Ethan Coughlin had barely featured, and they all got a run out. And like, because of that, and I think because of the success of the Crusaders game in the week of, as I said, we spoke to Alex Nankifat, he said training was poor, but they kind of just like turned the corner. That kind of, and like sometimes that just happens with teams. They have a bad day and then turn a corner and they're fine. But like I have it here of the Munster 23 that features tomorrow. Niall Scannell has 2 full appearances. So we're not counting the Crusaders game. Niall Scannell has 2, Owen Clark has 4, Ollie Yeager is 5. Orge Snyman debut. That obviously discounts the World Cup, for Munster. Finney Mitchell only 5. Jack O'Sullivan, Ruan Quinn, Mike Haley, all their full season debut. Ethan Coughlin only has 2, Joey Carberry only has 4, and Shane McCarthy only has 5 appearances. So as much as that Munster squad may look familiar, with obviously like Snyman, with Conor Murray, with Joey Carberry, Mike Haley, Oliver Yeager, there is quite, like, Munster have been quite depleted this year, and it's an important asterisk on their season, I think, and we'll probably get into it when we compare the two sides. I look at that Scarlets pack and I think, okay, there's a good bit of power there. Fafita and Losey in particular obviously stand out for the power mark. Munster have lost Sean Klein. He's only played 1 game this season. Peter Manny's only played 1. Orge Snyman hasn't played. Edwin Adogbo's been injured since Christmas. So power has been a serious issue for Munster. Getting Snyman back now, I feel, is a huge boost because he just changes the dynamic of your pack. And I think the Crusaders game, you probably start to see in that second half, power will start to tell, in that second half, as it has done so far through the season. But tomorrow, the bench looks a little bit stronger. It's still weak in the front row, granted, I think that's fair to say, but, like Finney Mitchell and Jack O'Sullivan, like, to actually have a second row on the bench is a luxury for us. Like, that sounds crazy to say, but like, since, I'm just going back through it now, but since, oh God, the Glasgow game at the start of December was the last time we had a full senior second row on the bench. Imagine. That's the last time.
And that's where you're spending a lot of your money as well.
Yeah.
Stop now, because we get into money, this will become a bitching contest, and we always know who is the subject to the money conversation. It's usually the Irish fans, but it will be Leinster this time, and I will explain that to you in grave detail if you want, but I don't think that's fair.
So is that what you would put your slightly tricky title defense? Mind you, like, your title winning season, a bit like when we won it, you didn't have a great first half of the season that year either. But is that what you just put your tricky form down to, is the injury situation?
Injuries in key areas. I think Munster could deal with injury. Like, okay, the week of the Connacht game, we had something like 19 players ruled out for one reason or another. Like, that's just a freak. Like, that very rarely happens. But injuries in key positions. So like, we lost apologies, I have it up here on my laptop, but like, Dave Cocoyne has missed most of the season. Very experienced, powerful, loose head prop. Jim Barron and Niall Scannell have kind of, one got injured and one was coming back, so they're our first 2 choice hookers. If there's any Bulls fans listening, apparently we're coming for 1 year hookers. Apparently.
Oh,
and I don't mind that.
Yeah, but we don't know
Apparently
which
it's
one,
Grobler.
do we?
Apparently it's Grobler, but I don't know. It could be Vessels as well.
Well, on that, I'm going to say that this is the difference that we are talking about now between rugby in Wales and rugby everywhere else. You were after one of the Bulls' frontline hookers. We are linked with one of the Cheetahs, a Curry Cup team. That's the standard difference.
I could preface it though.
I
could preface it. The lad that we have on the bench backing up at hooker started the season at Jersey Reds. So Do you know?
we don't
I'm
mind
not.
Jersey Reds. We love Tommy Lewis.
Scarlet's
We've got a
B
good
team.
voice on it.
They were.
No, I'm not using that to kind of be like, oh well, the Irish aren't rich. We are. Like, I'm not going to try and deny that, but like that's just we've just been in that kind of a hole this season. You know, that's just kind of the way the season has gone. But just getting back to that, like, okay, tight head prop, they've stayed injury free. Touch wood, it says the same because Audie Jaeger has been immense. Like again, Sean Klein and Jorge Snyman combined have had one game of rugby for Munster this year. And like, you know yourselves from watching Welsh sides as well suffer from this. When there is that severe power deficit at second row or in the tight five, it does filter across the side. And for Munster, who want to keep ball alive, they want that high-paced attack so they can get their phase play attack going. When you're not winning your collisions in midfield, be it a Klein, a Stayman, you know, even someone like Peter O'Mahony and his ruck work and how solid that has been for years. Like, he's only played 3 games for Munster all year. You know, only 1 league game, and eventually that just starts to tell, and that's been a huge issue. I think, to their credit, the likes of Edwin Adogbo stood up immensely. Alex Nankerville has been huge for us. I think if Munster didn't have Nankerville this season, they'd be in a bigger hole because he's been their only go forward in midfield because he's a tank of a young lad. Like, I say that ironically, he is older than me, but like, he's just been a tank in midfield, and that makes a difference. It's been crucial. But then you look at the team that's out tomorrow, and I think power shouldn't be an issue. And I don't know a lot about the Scarlets. I'm not trying to pretend I do, because I haven't got to see them a lot. I've missed like how many games you played against the provinces? 1 or 2 this year. I know you played Leinster. I was away that day.
Yeah, just one, I think.
Leinster.
Yeah, so like I haven't really got a chance to see them, so I won't lie. I've seen the Cardiff game in Cardiff Arms Park because it was live on free-to-air television in Ireland, which I always jump at the opportunity to watch those games. But like the side just looks different now, and the URC has shown. I know you've talked about it yourself, Hugh. The back half of the season is worth twice as much, do you know? And like, Munster have had some very, very tough games to start the season. Like, they had Benetton, Ulster, Leinster, Connacht, as their away games so far. Like, they're tough. They're some of the toughest away games you can play. Like, we had to play the Stormers at home, we had to play Glasgow at home. But now you look at the next 4 games and like, okay, fair enough. Scarlets, typically a tough enough place to go. Zebra, Ospreys is a tough place to go under Toby Booth. And I understand you might want to take the piss out of them, but I don't want to burn any ties with the Ospreys Erie podcast. Hi guys, if you're listening.
Burn them now.
And then we've Cardiff at home, and I don't know if you've noticed, but Munster playing Cardiff at home and Munster playing Cardiff away is like it's like the difference from international down to A games. When we play away from home, we always lose against Cardiff. When we play them at home, we always win. So any year we've Cardiff at home is a huge bonus. But no, getting back to that, like, injuries have been a huge part of the season, and now the team just looks much healthier, much fuller. And I think if Munster can stay healthy, and you look at the fixtures they've got left in the league, I think they'll safely make top 8, and I think they'll probably like that aim of making a semi-final. I know they were thinking home semi-final. I think that's gone from them now. But still, at the same time, Leinster are clear number 1. No one else is clear number 2. Someone could go up to take it. Maybe it's Munster. Maybe Benetton hold on. We don't know. But that's the beauty of the league, I suppose.
Yeah, the fixture change in the second half of the season completely. The way that some fans are feeling now about their teams, they'll be feeling very different by the end of the season, no doubt.
And Munster had it in reverse last year. We had the toughest games. We had to go to South Africa at the very end of the season and managed to go unbeaten.
You had that weird game against us where you were winning like 30-0 or something at halftime, and it finished.
I mean, there was
Williams came on.
Yeah, there was intangible reasons for that, with a funeral the day before and all that. Like, but that was just one of those really weird games. That was this time last year, wasn't it? That was Six Nations time.
Yeah, it was a similar time.
Yes, but we got the win ultimately. Great game. More or the same tomorrow.
From what I'm hearing is you've got a few excuses ready just in case. I've only played 1 game, only 2 games. No.
It's not excuse. If it was proper Irish excuses, I'd be like, oh no, we're poor, completely unironically on a Welsh podcast. But I'm not that bad. No, I know. It's not the most cohesive team, but like, and I mean this with the greatest respect, I don't think that Munster team should go out and expect anything less than a win and potentially a bonus point, because like I said with Ireland earlier, when Munster win games, they score tries. And I think it'll be the same again. They'll probably look to go, 7-14-21 as opposed to 3-6-9. So that has to be the aim for them. And that has to be the aim of the next 4 games.
That's something I wanted to ask you. We've spoken about it before in other places, the stereotype about Munster and how they play. Is it fair to say that up the jumper Munster at least dormant for now, and this is a different, new, exciting Munster?
Yeah, no, it's gone. It's long gone. I think for anyone who followed top 14 rugby, they shouldn't be too surprised, because Mike Prendergast, when he was at Racing when they got to the Heineken Cup final, and they were playing beautiful rugby at the time. Like, if you remember, they'd Finn at 10, Vakatawa at 13, and Simon Zebo at 15. They basically had 3 playmakers across midfield. Now, Munster won't go for that. They'll settle with 2. I think that's enough for our heart. But they do want to play the ball. And like, I think if everything clicks tomorrow night, where you'll notice Munster and their attack flowing is on phase 2 and 3, they'll hit up, they'll do the normal stuff. But like, especially when Crowley's been at 10, I know it's Carberry, it's a different 10. We haven't seen a lot of them over the last 2 years. But when Crowley's been the man at 10, often in that second phase, you would see him. I think Squidge pointed this out, actually. You will see him throw that dark pass that'll cut out 2 defenders. And then you'll see Craig Casey hitting at 9. I know he's not there either. And again, it'll be the same thing. He would throw that pass that beats 2 or 3 defenders already. He'll commit them, maybe even 4 defenders. And then you're on front football. And that's how Munster have kind of tried to play. And they look to keep teams going. Probably the only issue has been this year, as I said, with power, but a little bit of a fitness issue as well. I think last year they were one of the fittest teams in it, and it showed in the final and in the semi-final. Maybe not this year, but yeah, when they did get the attack going, it's phenomenal. And I suppose the only thing is, and I mean this with the greatest respect, Murray and Carberry, probably not the prototype of Munster halfbacks and what Mike Prendergast wants. And that's been shown in selection. Like, they've had no problem saying Craig Casey is their number 1, or that Jack Crowley is their number 1 guy in those positions. And there's a reason why there's a better chance of both of those guys playing against Scarlets next year outside of the URC than in it. Because obviously Bordeaux have signed Joey Carberry, and it looks like Conor Murray's gone as well. From what I'm hearing, there's your mini exclusive now, but that looks to be the case, and it's not really surprising. He's not the system fit anymore. But he's
been released from Ireland camp for this game, so that tells a story.
Yeah, himself and Ian Henderson released. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And I think that's really harsh on Ian Henderson, because I actually thought he did well at the weekend. But I think that just shows there's a changing of the guard happening again. And Conor Murray's one of them. Ian Henderson will be another. There'll be more guys, don't get me wrong. Like, I think the likes of, I said before the tournament, James Lowe will be another that'll be phased out of the Irish team. And then he goes out and plays like a man possessed. I got that horrendously wrong, didn't I? And some people have the receipts. But no, that's going back to your question, like, Munster, they're playing this, their phase play has been really, really good when it gets going. Seen on the Toulon game. Am I allowed make a joke at Dan Bigger's expense? Is that allowed on here?
No, well, I don't know. Maybe on this. Yeah.
Well, Thomas Ahern managed to swat him aside like a fly in the Toulon game.
Oh, he gets bumped off all the time. But tell me a bit more about Ahern then, because I got tipped off to him by some Irish fans on Twitter the other week, and I had a quick glance at his stats, and my goodness, those are some stats. So tell us about him. What remember, you're pitching to Scarlets fans here, so what is his position? Just give us his background and things.
For anyone who doesn't know, myself and Hugh had a conversation a few weeks ago when Hugh was asked about Thomas Ahern, and he was like, do people really see him at 6? He's 6'9". I was like, yeah, he's a 6. So Hugh decides to message me today and be like, oh, look, Ahern is back in the second row. So that wasn't a question in good faith. Let's get that out there. But no. So Thomas Ahern came through Waterford, which, if anyone knows Ireland, it's not a rugby hub. So it's quite a new story, but he broke onto the scene at under 20s, was really, really good there, scored a try from about 40 meters out against Scotland, just men against boys stuff. It's like the stuff you see in, I mean this with the greatest respect, in the Japanese league, where like some South African goes over there and just like plays basketball with the ball. Like it was that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, he's been injured basically until this year. He's had some 2 long-term injuries. He got a run of games last year and then got ruled out for most of the rest of the season. He hasn't even played AIL really, which is the step below the provinces. So like it's amazing to see what's happened. Started getting a couple of games in the second row at the start of the season, which is where we expected. And then the week of the Leinster game, Peter O'Mahony has a broken hand. No one knows what the story is. Will Peter O'Mahony be back? No, it doesn't look like it. What are Munster going to do with 6? And then Thomas Ahern is named at 6. And everyone's like, what's going on here? And it's like, okay, in attack, we get it. Because this, like, he can ball. He kind of would remind you of Jorge Snyman, but leaner, if you want to put it that way. Like, he's filled out, don't get me wrong, from what he used to be. But he's not a physical specimen for a guy who's 6'9". Someone told me, I think this is the tallest second row partnership in URC history to start a game.
I can very believe that.
It's 6'9" and 6'9".
Anything to stop Verheide pinching your lineouts, but guess what? He's going to anyway.
That's the only reason we did it. Not because Thomas Ahern's our player of the year so far, and our case name and costs a boatload of cash, and he's going to cost 2 boatloads for Leinster. But anyways, no. So Ahern was played at 6 in that game, played all right, got a couple of touches on the ball and the wide channels, and as we said, great footwork, great hands. Probably a bit of an issue defensively and with his work, just kind of getting adjusted to it. But since then, he's just been a revelation out there. There's been cross kicks. He scored a try against Exeter. Some people might remember where Jack Crowley just on the money, straight into his hands, and he runs it home from halfway. He's got a big stride. He does remind you of one of those like random guys you see on sevens every once in a while that will just walk home in 2 strides. He's kind of like that, but he's been a revelation. Now, all of his best rugby, I will say, has been as an edge forward, as out wide on the flank. But that makes sense. Like, he is only 24 years of age. He's not the bulkiest second row, as I said. Probably not the greatest scrummaging second row. And I mean this in a nice way. That's just my guesswork. I don't know for certain. Probably not the greatest scrummaging second row. But that's where most of his good rugby is played. And when you're, obviously, as you know, when you're in that second row role, like he'd be taking up the Tadhg Beirne position. What does Tadhg Beirne do best? He's hanging around rucks. He's making a couple of tackles. He's there as a tip-on support in midfield. It's not really Ahern's game. So it'll be interesting to see what way they go tomorrow night. I think they'll go with Snyman as your kind of power lock, and then they'll ask Ahern to kind of filter out. But I think there's also a chance we do see Ahern pop up on the wing from time to time, with Gavin Coombs maybe just pushing more infield and more tighter, because he is big and powerful. He's only 6'4", 6'5" by comparison at number 8, but he is that more natural power, like that, the rounder looking type. And I mean this nicely as well, but it'll be really, like, I don't know the answer as to what Thomas Ahern will do tomorrow. I know he's exciting, but if he's deployed as an out-and-out athletic line-out second row, then fair enough. You'll see a typical second row game, maybe the odd line break. If he is out wide, then you're probably going to see, Ahern probably at his best. You'll see Snyman hopefully play the kind of rugby he's known for with the offloads and the big tackles. You'll probably see Alex Kendellen a lot more in midfield. If they go with Ahern and they go with Coombs and Snyman, and then Ruan Quinn, then he could, I think, as things stand, Ruan Quinn will be our edge forward, and he'll be the guy you'll see out there. He's only 20 years of age, was really, really good in the Under-20 World Cup last year. Actually was Munster's youngest ever player until this season. I think that record was broken. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was broken again. We'll probably see him out there. But for Ahern, if you do see him in the wide channels, send someone out there, because he's big, he's fast, he can catch cross kicks. If you've ever watched Ryan Baird at Leinster, it's kind of the same thing. That's kind of what you're expecting from him.
Again, my answer is Fafita.
Fafita for everything. So where do you think the weaknesses are for your Munster side? Where should the Scarlets be focusing their attack?
Attack wise, I think they can get to the fringes and they can get a bit of change. Now, Munster have been statistically one of the best teams defensively in the league all season and last season. Dennis Leamy, who many people might remember, he's the defense coach at Munster now. So he actually came, believe it or not, Dennis Leamy started his coaching career over at Leinster. And as you can imagine, that went down really well with his ex-teammates as a former Heineken Cup winner of Munster. But no, so Leams has come back, has been really good at defense. But the question is, how do you get at Munster? I think power. I think power is a big one. I think I mentioned Fifita and Lousy. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Lousy?
Yeah, that's right.
Pronounce it however you want. No one cares.
I care.
The amount of different. You've said it yourself with you and him. I mean, come on. There's so many different ways. I mean, people are lousy, and it's like, oh, you can't call him that. It's not like that.
You see, that's what I was trying to stay away from as well, I would say. But he terrifies me. He's a big man. But they're kind of the guys that you Scarlets will need a big game from. If I'm a Munster coach and I'm thinking, who do we not want to see play well? It's probably them two, because they got the power, they got the athleticism, and I suppose I might just throw it back on you, because that Scarlet's bench, like, how does that look? Because Munster's bench has been an issue. They have started to flag with 20 minutes to go, and they're bringing on guys who are not of the same physical caliber. So do you think the bench could be something that is a strength?
What I've got to mention to you on the bench, we've got, like you've got a few debutants. Everyone has a few debuts through this time of year. We're in the 16 shirt. It's no front row hooker. We've got an 18-year-old making his debut. So it's not very common.
Not just any 18-year-old. A New Dock Stars 18.
A New Dock Star. That's who's adopted team. Just for a bit of banter. And if you've listened to any of this, this is his first year senior rugby. Totally, I've been raving about him with Llandyfri. We tipped him to be good with Wales under 20s his last 2 weeks, and this boy could be special. I mean, Harry Thomas is a name as a hooker you want to keep a ear out for. So if we're talking our bench, it's our second strongest front row. If we take Elias out of the equation, both front rows are the absolute strongest we could have without Wales. Second row, Jack Price, he's a good boy, but he's still a young man. I think he's only 23 himself. So, I mean, he towered over you. I don't know how tall you are, but I'm reckoning he's a couple smidges taller than you.
Not quite tall. I would be over a foot smaller than Thomas Ahern, we'll put it that way.
Oh, there we go. I'm only 5'8", so that's fine. Don't worry about it. But no, when it comes to the bench, our forwards look pretty handy. When we come into the backs, it's a bit of an unknown. We've got a debutant coming on a 9. We've got Charlie Titcombe, who, if you don't know about, the whole world is going to know about soon, because
I've seen tweets about him.
He seems to have something on him. I hope he's got a Welsh connection. I'll be gutted if he ends up going back over the border. And Steph Evans rounds out our bench. So, we've got four pretty big aggressive forwards in there. And we've got a good Marshall in 10 to come on as well. So in terms of the bench, it's pretty good for us. We don't generally tend to have a strong bench. So it makes a nice change in terms of our starting pack. I think I can say 7 of the 8 are big ball carriers. We could pick Kamsi Matthias, carries hard, Edwin Swart, hard, Alex Craig, lousy. Obviously we haven't seen Jared Taylor ourselves. He's on debut.
Yeah, let's just quickly chat about him. So Jared Taylor was signed during the week and is straight into the starting lineup, which is a bit of a surprise when you consider that I think Ben Williams is fit and available. And you've got Teddy Leatherbarrow in there as well, who obviously isn't a 6, but you might have seen Dan Davis go over to the 6 or something. Are you surprised at that, Mark, to see Jared straight in?
I'm not surprised. I'm more concerned because the fact that we've been told he only arrived on Monday. So he's literally had 3 proper days training, and he's apparently knows all our systems and everything. So I'm more concerned than anything. I've no doubt he's going to be a brilliant player and a brilliant player for us.
The clips going around of him have been very impressive.
yeah, it's a highlights reel. Anyone can make a good highlights reel if you've got enough footage. You're going to
That
find
is something
10,
I
15
agree with.
seconds.
I 100% agree with that. Anyone can be a good highlight reel player. It doesn't mean they're a good player. And I mean no disrespect to the guy because I don't know who he is, but like I do
No,
agree with that point.
he comes from really good stock. He was SA schoolboys 2 years
Yeah,
running
Western Province boy.
into the under 18s. He pulled himself out of the baby box to focus on his own education. So, big respect for him doing that. He was a player of SA national interest whilst he was in that age grade as well. So there's got to be something about him. So I'm excited to see what he can do, but I'm also concerned at the same time that not that our defence has been any good this season all round, but if he's going to slip out the systems, you're going to expect it with only 3 proper days to learn it.
Yeah, and I think, am I right in thinking that this is the first game this season that both Lousi and Fafita have played together?
Give me a sec, and I will
I'm pretty sure that is.
out.
Lousi captain as well, which is a surprise. We weren't expecting.
With the news that him and
Rumors.
Fafita,
Yeah.
The rumors, him and Fafita are, possibly leaving. It is a big one for me. Unless he's done a total U-turn and said, yes, I'll sign on the dotted line, I'll commit for another 2-3 seasons. Making him captain does seem a bit of a statement. But as we carry on, this is probably one of the first times this season I've been able to look at that pack and I go, yeah, we can actually get a bit of go forward there. We can actually carry. So with you telling me you think Munster might be a bit well, not suspect, but might have a bit of a weakness when it comes to the tight game defensively, I'm pretty happy with that.
I feel like Alex Craig is one of the best kept secrets in rugby at the moment because he's
not a secret, but no one pays attention to him. I have no idea why.
He's arguably our player of the season so far.
100% on new player of the season, potentially player of the season as well. I can't think of anyone who would even come close, just for the simple fact he's played practically every game. I think only one game he's missed and he was rested for that one. I mean, if we go into our backs, I'm pretty excited.
Me too.
There's literally only one change I would personally make.
Same, and I think it would be the same one.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it, isn't it? Is that with the Scarlets teams this season, we've never looked at it and gone, oh, he's a bad player, or I wouldn't have picked him. It's more like you can't see the logic of it because you see like the young kids and, Dwayne Peel and that keeps talking about, oh, it's about bringing through young players. When we had the guest on the other week who was talking about the bringing through the young players and developing Scarlets for the future. But as soon as a young player comes in and they play well, next week they're out. And we've been begging for Charlie Titcombe to start for the Scarlets since the Leinster game. And Dan Jones is coming in for his 150th game for the Scarlets. So congratulations to him. But yeah, he's come from not played a single game yet this season to in ahead of Charlie, which is surprising.
And this might mean nothing to you, Caolan, like nothing at all. But if you go into the Welsh Premiership, Carmarthen Quins are 12 out of 13. They've only won 3 games. Those 3 games, Charlie Titcombe was at 10. They can't win without him. That's the type of mastery sort of player that we see when we watch those games. And obviously we add the Leinster game into that. The type of player that he is, it just baffles us why he's not given it. He's been fitter longer. He's probably a lot more match fit. I think he only had the run out against Exeter. And I don't want to talk about that run out against Exeter.
Really and minutes at 10 are important though, right? Like we talked about this. Oh God, it was one of our recent podcasts on my own channel, but like 10 is just one of those positions where minutes are double as important as other places because you won't. And like I don't mean this as any disrespect to Dan Jones or to Charlie Titcombe, but you do just need minutes in the saddle sometimes, And like when I looked up Titcombe's stats there when you were on about him, like I couldn't believe he hadn't started a game this year because like it feels like he's been in all 3 of the Scarlets games I watched this year, and
he's
again,
been on a lot. He's been on the bench and not come on.
Yeah, and like that just feels, I don't know. I like it's one of those positions. Like I know Munster are in a position now with Ben Healy gone, Jack Crowley with Ireland, that we just don't have a backup 10 at the moment. But like, it is kind of important to have minutes in the saddle. And it's, as he said about Welsh Premiership games, if that's exactly the type of character I'd be looking for, and I don't want to, make it seem like I know it all about the Welsh game. I don't, but that is kind of what you want to see from your 10, that they can go in and just get games won, and like, especially this season, it hasn't been the greatest, and hopefully he doesn't do that off the bench tomorrow. Like, I'm not going to go that far. Like, I'm rooting for you, but not that much, guys. But that's just my opinion on 10 as a position.
Yeah, I think that's maybe why Sam Costello's looked a little bit shaky a couple of moments. Not even shaky, just hasn't been hitting the heights just because he hasn't had the game time. But we've got Archie back, which we're excited about.
Finally seeing, we got him he started a game. Yeah, brilliant, awesome. Out of the squad next week. And this is what we just mentioned, Hugh just mentioned. There's no logic and consistency to these selections. I mean, some of these players we've been calling all season, give these boys a chance. Only one chance you need to give them, and they'll show you what they're worth. And I've always been a believer is you play well in that shirt, that's yours until you play shit. It's as simple as that. And that's the type of mentality I would like to see. But it's just not there. I mean, Archie has been a massive talent at Welsh Premiership, under 20s, all age grade. And, people have been talking about him for a good few years now. And he's only had the one proper start this season for us. And fair play, he put it out there and he was just thrown out immediately. I mean, personally, I'd be livid. You perform like that, you're given the 9 shirt, you start, you have a good performance, and then they don't even bother rewarding you with even a bench spot the next week. I just don't understand the logic there.
But we've got one person who has been rewarded, has been Tommy Lewis, after his incredible cameo against Edinburgh. He's got to be in, but what does it say about Ryan Combe's position in the squad at the moment?
Combe is just random. I don't know what it is. I mean, last season, he was probably our best winger overall. We know what he offers. He's stocky, fast and powerful, and he's got great footwork. We saw that with the way he finished the Clermont try. I can still picture that in my mind. I was watching that game and I honestly thought he was going over the touchline, but boom, straight over. And no disrespect to any of our players, and especially Johan Nicholas, who is, quite frankly, I think he's our youngest ever player if you include in friendlies. I think he's like 17 years old in the pro era. And he's a 13/fullback, and he's getting selected on the wing over Combia. Now, he can play wing. He did a lot of it a few years ago under Brad Moore, and he has got pace. No one's denying that. But when you've got a player who focuses primarily on being a 13 or 15, and he's picked ahead of you on the wing, it kind of raises a lot of question marks. At least it does for us as fans when we know he's fit and ready because he played last week.
Yeah. Johnny McNichol back at fullback. I think he was obviously one of the stars in our title-winning season and for the season after that. So I feel like I need to apologize to Johnny McNichol, because I said on a pod a few weeks ago that he hadn't been standing in as a playmaker whenever Ewan Lloyd would go off on one of his runs. I've now watched back some footage and actually I'd take it back. He has been filling in. And if you watch the 2 games against Cardiff, he was that second playmaker. He's obviously a massively talented player. So hopefully that's a big impact for us coming in. But the really exciting part of this team, and the bit that I would warn Caolan about, is the centre partnership. If you offered me Sonny Bill Williams and Mar Nonu right now, I'd send you away, because we've got Eddie James and Joe Roberts.
And we're gonna have an all centre off here. We're gonna just compare centres and stats, and I go for listen, we can, if we want to put it up as like an XXX video, rated 18s and just talk about centres, fire away, boys. I'm more than happy to. I do know of Joe Roberts, of what I've seen, and thought he's looked all right. But listen, they might be good, but we've got Alex Nankerville and Antoine Frisch, who have been shut up, who have been surpassing expectations this season. I could say, Antoine Frisch, you might remember him from Bristol, but number one, he barely played for Bristol, and number two, I still don't believe anyone actually watches Bristol. Apologies, but yeah.
No, I don't think anyone who likes Bristol listens to us, so don't worry about that. Say whatever you want. But no, again, Eddie James, he's been a little bit unlucky this year. He's had a couple knocks, but at the same time, when he has been on the pitch,
Yeah. So
he has shown up.
So 3 URC games for Eddie James so far. So he's like our Charlie Titcombe. So he's won 2 of them, which is a remarkable feat for a Scarlet. And the other one was the 1-point loss to the Lions, which we absolutely should have won. So he makes a big difference. And again, he's a second. We're going to try and do an analysis video on this maybe next week. Don't know when. About Eddie James, and he does step in as that second playmaker as well. If you watch him off the ball, you can see he is the organizer. He's pointing, he's telling people where to go. He puts himself. He can either go in the boot or he stands at the tip of the arrowhead for the 3. He is. He can run. He can pass. He can do a couple of really nice. He's our only centre who grubbers. Like, I don't know if grubbering is banned in the Scarlets, but he's the only one who does it and does it well.
Bring it back. Bring back rubber kicks. Can never have too many.
I think the best part for Eddie James when talking about that style of game is up until he was 17, he did play as a 10. And, okay, he wasn't involved in any of the setups. He missed out on the Dewar Shield and the original Rag, which is basically the progression at the younger ages for us down here. But he must have shot up about 6-7 inches, up and out, because a year later he was playing 12 and he was walking through boys for fun. And I think he's what is he at now? He was about 6'4", about 100 kilos, something like that. So he played a lot of rugby at 10, so he has got that knowledge and experience in his younger years, admittedly. So
and his partnership with Joe Roberts as well works. It just works. It's one of them.
It is. He doesn't look like he should be able to crash ball. He looks really slender, but he packs one hell of a punch. And fair play to the boy. We've said about this partnership since the start of the year, back end of last season even. We said this is what we were going to be looking at for the future, and we've only been able to see it a few times, and we're glad we can see it again. I'm hoping we can keep it in 2 weeks' time, but who knows? Someone may hit Gatland in the head with a rock and realise Roberts is the best 13 in Wales.
Seconded. Right, before we go on and do predictions, let's just quickly talk about something else that's happening this URC round, and it's the Origins round. So Scarlets players are all wearing their original club socks, and it's all listed on the team sheet as well. So Matthias is Narberth, like we said. There's a New Dock Stars boy in there. Clandilo. There's obviously Vafit is wearing the Lions, which is not British and Irish Lions. It's not the Emirates Lions. It's a club in Tonga, which is cool, obviously. Jared Taylor is going to be wearing Western Province socks. Sam Lousy is going to be wearing Bay Roskill Vikings, who I know absolutely nothing about.
I believe they're Tonga.
Sorry. I also have learned that Teddy Leatherbarrow came through at Knutsford, and Knutsford is 10 minutes down the road from where I grew up. So
the only thing I know about Knutsford is they've got good services.
They got a very nice cinema, and it's well posh. They've got a McLaren dealership and a Rolls-Royce dealership next to each other. It's where all the footballers go. Anyway,
the reason he's mentioning Rolls-Royce is because he used to work there. Oh.
They got a Tesla dealership now as well. So, Caolan, what's your thoughts on the Origin round then? It's a great initiative, isn't it?
I've been critical of certain things the URC have done, sponsorships, NFTs, things like that. But if there's 2 things I've loved, it's been the Unity round, and I like the idea of this. Unfortunately, I had the intention of coming on here and given the clubs, but unfortunately, Munster have not provided us with a list of original clubs. I don't think we'll see anything like the socks.
As a Munster fan, how do you not know them off by heart? It's
well,
terrible.
I could give the old Leinster answer of, half your guys are ours, but it's not that. It's I genuinely just don't know the original clubs of half of these guys, because some of them, even I know their AIL club, say Ruan Quinn is at Young Munsters, but I know he's not Young Munsters, for instance, and things like that. But I probably should know these things, but I don't. But Munster did not provide it. But I do love the initiatives. I love going back and I know we say rugby values and make a joke of it and all that, but this is something you can sell. This is something that you can kind of lean on.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's probably something I'd be critical of some of the provinces for is, and I kind of alluded to this in the tweet I put up today of your announcement video, like being the TikTok gimmicks. This is the kind of stuff that like people will remember and will leave a last long impression. You will forget a TikTok joke in 5 minutes. You'll remember things like this. And I do like seeing things like this. I hope it's a successful league. I hope Munster do it. But I don't think they will. I think even just maybe the fact that like, you know, we're going to be in a away jersey and things like that we never wear might even be something that tips the balance.
What colour is
know?
it? It better not be grey.
It's kind of a grey navy. Do you remember the Munster Toulouse game last year in Stade Ernst Vallon? We wore it for that.
Right.
And there's bits of red on it.
To be fair, you've got the pleasure of being in an Adidas team, which is hallowed ground in rugby these days.
Are we going to get onto that? Are we going to get onto
No,
that?
no.
But no, it's kind of that kind of a color. But it's not like, you know, so one of those really bad color matches. We should be fine once the lights and Parky Scarlets are on. We should be fine to be able to distinguish the teams because it's one color on the back, which is always one of the things I like. So you will be able to tell the players apart, thankfully. And they'll have a massive Shannon Airport written across their arses. So you'll be able to notice that as well.
Yeah. Mark, this Origin round's got to be right up your street.
Oh, damn straight. I love it. We should do it every week. I don't care.
Yeah, the socks thing, definitely.
And it couldn't have come at a better time for us with the news we've had during the week.
Rapidly approaching the end of this slot of the podcast, which just leaves us to get some predictions. So guests first. You've already said that you think you're going to absolutely tonk us, so just put a scoreline on it.
I might have actually thought that more at the start than I do now. I think I've been
because we told you all about Eddie James and Joe Roberts. Now you shit your pants.
But you're talking about them like Scarlets aren't a team in the bottom half of the league, which they are, and I kind of had to remind myself of that. And I mean that in good faith. Like you kind of scared me a small bit here, guys. But no, I think for Munster the aim, like our next 4 games, they're Scarlets away, Zebra at home, Ospreys away, and Cardiff at home. We've got to be aiming for 18 points. Like that's just the way it is. And I don't care if it's 26-24, like for 4 games. I really don't. But like we do actually have to be aiming for that on 4. And like when the going gets tough, we need to see this Munster team deliver again. And I know it's a roundabout way of looking at it, but like I think we've got a good pack out there. I know what I said about the power thing, but that's mainly been off the bench. If we can get Luckman, Scannell, not even Jaeger as much, but Luckman, Scannell, Slayman, Quinn to all go 65 minutes. Slayman is probably a bit too much going 65 in his first game back, but then it is only a pec injury. You'd imagine that's something you're either back or you're not, you know, that kind of thing. But if we can get them to go 65 minutes, I think hopefully we'll have the job done. And then I won't be as worried when the bench comes on. But there is that bit of doubt. You know, there always is. And like we need big games from Conor Murray, from Joey Carberry. I think, you know, Mike Haley, it's his first game back at full back. And like, I know Mike Haley's one of those guys who's rare to go even when he's injured. But like, if you're going to come back with a bang, mate, like, now would be a great time to do it because it's never any harm. Now, that said, I don't think he'll go 80 minutes either. We've got Shane McCarthy on the bench. We don't often pick a back 3 on the bench, but I think that could be part of the reason. And Shane Daly go back to full back. If I was to call it, like I go to back Munster. You know, I back Munster most weeks. The last time I didn't back Munster was the Toulon game, actually, which we went on to win. And then I backed Munster for the Northampton game, which we went on to lose. So here you go, Scarlets, you're going to win because I'm betting on Munster this time. But no, I think they'll win. I think they'll get a bonus point, but again, I don't mean that with disrespect. I think that's more because of our style. I can see us scored 4 tries and only win.
A losing bonus point, I agree.
Stop it. But I could see it being like, you know, 31-21. Do you know what I mean? Or 31-19. I could see like a game that's closer than, Munster pick up the full 5 points. Do you know? It could be close to that. But you don't like these are the games that are always scary in some ways, like for every fan, because you come into it thinking, okay, we're well versed for the internationals being gone, and then you look at it and you're not, and like that's always a concern. Like Munster's worst game of the season was when they got all their internationals back this time last year. Like that was their worst game of the season. Like so, maybe we're going to have one of those games. I don't know, but they need a big win. Munster have not won back-to-back games yet this season. It wouldn't be back-to-back league wins. It wouldn't be back-to-back competitive wins. It would literally just be Crusaders in this if they do it. Now's the time. Now's the time. Yeah, like they've had 2 draws in there. Don't get me wrong. After wins, so they've gone 2 games unbeaten across the season at 2 different points. But no, it's been a weird run. So like, need to start delivering. And like I don't like Munster are in a rebuild. I probably should touch this area. They are firmly in a rebuild. You will see the likes of Peter O'Mahony, Dave Kilcoyne, Simon Zebo, John Ryan, Conor Murray, stalwarts of the team being gone in the next 2 years, and more than just them. But in terms of this season, gotta win. And I'll go 29-19, I think.
No, you must bonus point.
No, sorry. Yeah, sorry. 29-22. We don't concede more than 20 points too often. So that's my only thing. But we score.
Oh, don't worry, you'll be conceding more this week.
Hey, there we go. Well, Steph Evans and Johnny McNichol both being on the field at the same time will give me flashbacks. So
we don't.
It's not the same, Steph.
We've said.
I understand that. I understand that. I understand that's the viewpoint. But still, like most Munster fans will see it as, remember that day of 2017 when Tyburn was not playing for us, and it was that badly. He also ended our winning run at home that season, but anyways, that's beside the point. Breaking winning home runs and going on to win the league title is something we've shared in recent years. So good on us.
True.
Okay, so Caolan reckons Scarlets will win 29-22. What about you,
Will? We don't put exact score lines on it around here, so I'm going Scarlets by 3. We always pick Scarlets to win, Caolan. So there's
okay.
If you don't,
but the thing is, it's been getting closer. Every day things have been getting closer, and it's got to click at some point. So why not tomorrow?
Yeah,
and why not in 2 weeks' time? Like, can it be in 2 weeks? Like, who do you play in 2 weeks' time?
Connor.
Genuinely. Oh yeah, beat Con. Yeah, beat Con. Feck off. Beat Connacht. Like, come on. Like, listen. I know. Yes, Scarlets fans. I am from Galway and I support Munster. I know that's confusing, but beat Connacht. Save us 1. We'll let you get 2 points out of this game. We'll be sound. We'll let you take 2 points. You go up to Galway, you get the win, and everyone's happy. No, okay. I tried.
I reckon there's going to be a good few tries in this game. I do think we're going to click. So I'm going to go for an exact scoreline as I normally do, 33-26. We're going to put a few over you. Ooh. I really do think that. But I'm giving you 26, so I'm giving you a try bonus point and a losing bonus point. So you won't get
just Uno reverse card me. No, I take it.
Thank you so much, Caolan, for coming on. You've been
no bother.
You've been brilliant, and I've got to insult you a few times. It's been really fun.
At least I can take it.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you back next season. Who knows?
Who knows? It might depend on how tomorrow goes. Is that it? No, thanks very much for having me, lads. And I do hope we get a good game. Obviously, I hope Munster win, but I hope we get a good game.
Yeah, if we win tomorrow, we'll have you on every week.
Christ,
I don't even do my own podcast if we win every week or lose.
All right, cheers, mate. Thanks so much for coming on.
No bother. Thanks very much for having me, lads. Good luck. On Munster.
Right, so that was great. Thank you so much to Caolan for coming on. Good mate of mine in the podcasting world, so really appreciate that. Right, let's talk about some of Martin's favourite topics. So, believe it or not, this happened since we last recorded a podcast. It feels like forever ago, but it actually wasn't. Scarlets under-18s confirmed world champions, best team in the world, would have beaten the 2015 All Blacks.
Oh, 100%. No doubt they'd have walked it. Bloody absolutely easy. And did you manage to catch the game?
I did. What a performance. Honestly, first half, that defence was epic.
And that was the one thing we were talking about after week one, after that first game against Cardiff. Like, oh, this side's got a bit of a creaky defence by you.
Yeah.
But, this competition is only 4 games long. So over the next 3 games, the defence has just gone through the roof. Now, going into this game, it was Scarlets v Ospreys, for anyone who didn't know. 3 out of 3, both teams undefeated. Scarlets were going in as the best attacking force, most attacking points. Ospreys were going in as the best defending team. They'd average 9.33 points conceded per game, and we put 40 over them. And I can't tell you how happy that makes me. I mean, we'll go through the try scorers now. It was Sean Jones, winger, Tian Sparrow. We all love Tian Sparrow.
His acceleration for his try was unbelievable. He got the ball and he just hit the gas, put the afterburners on. No one got near him.
Then we've got another wing, Owen Griffith. Now that was a try that I thought he might have botched it, because he stepped in and he just ran straight through 3 Osprey defenders and just fell over the line. The power on the boy is something different. And then our last try scorer, who managed to double a brace, was Lewis Jones. And for a front rower, if I had done what he did for that final try, I would have been excommunicated. I would have been picked up by the scruff of my neck and I would have been tossed in the bin. He picked up the ball from, what was it, about 25 metres out?
125 more like.
Yeah, it felt like it. And he picked the line, saw a gap, ran through it, nice fend on the first defender, and he bolted over the line. Jesus, the pace on this boy.
If anybody didn't see it, think of Gethin Jenkins's try against Namibia in the 2011 World Cup, except from further out and twice as fast.
Oh, damn straight. His first try was from the back of a maul, so, keeping up traditions, partially. But, oh wow, that is probably what that I have said. That's my new favourite try. I just loved watching that. I couldn't believe the pace on the boy. I know we're coming into this new era of modern props, but Jesus Christ, he looked as if he'd do a good job on the 100. So
yeah, it was a great performance. The thing, this is going to sound ridiculously hyperbolic, even more so than the 2015 All Blacks comment. They reminded me a bit of watching Bordeaux. Now, I'll justify that. Bordeaux, obviously one of the most exciting teams in Europe at the moment. But the way that when they get the ball from a turnover, firstly, they're looking around, they're talking to each other. The communication between them and the awareness of where each other were was superb. And it's just ball in the hands, head up, go forward. There's nothing static about them. They never took the ball or gave a pass whilst stood still. That I remember. They were always running forward whenever they had the ball. For a team, like I've said this pretty much every time we've spoken about them. They look like they've been playing together for 5 years.
They do. And the truth of the matter is, this is the first season some of these boys have been in this squad. The way that it works is it's a 2-year group. And, we all know, age grade rugby, it goes in single years up until you hit youth. And that's exactly what's happened here. They've had single years up to under 16s and then chucked together for a couple of months each time, because that is literally all the time they have together. I think they do 2 rugby sessions and 1 gym session as, the junior academy as such. That's literally all the time that they spend with each other for, I think, 6 months out of the year. And honestly, they were so cohesive. And like you said, the transition ball was outstanding. I mean, I'd love to see more games. I wish they were at least, playing a home and away round robin, not just the one. But it is what it is, and we're stuck, not getting a chance to see these boys. But on the plus side, quite a lot of these boys are now going on to the national 18s. It's kind of weird the way we do it. We do it on calendar year birthdays. So, our standout player, Tian Sparrow, he wasn't selected because his birthday doesn't fall at the right time of the year, which is really weird, but it is what it is.
To give the others a sporting chance.
It is. I think we've got 3 back rowers in that under-18s. national squad. So I think it's Don Kossuth, Keanu Evans, and Alex Ridgway. And we didn't see Ridgway at all this year. He's a Buryport boy, number 6, number 8. He's got a nice ginger mop on him, so it'll be good to see. I'm expecting to see him now next season with the Rags. So honestly, a lot of people have been talking, saying, "Oh, these boys are really good. They could come on, 2-3 years. We could see them for the Scarlets." Anything can happen. All 35 of these boys that have turned out could end up getting professional contracts. None of them could. It's totally luck of the draw. I don't want too much pressure to be put on them, but the boys that do make it, bloody watch out, because they're outstanding. Especially T and Sparrow and our props, because Christ, our props have looked unreal in these games. If we go on to our other age grade, our under 16s, East and West, they had a WRU festival down in Llanrumney this last Sunday. I don't think there were any winners, strangely enough, but the 16s East did come away from the day undefeated, so that's brilliant. And
That
now
sounds like they won to me.
Yeah. And now the East and West have now combined for training, and I'm not sure if they've got any games for the rest of the season, but again, best in Wales. I mean, West is best. We've always said it, So before I dip into the community game and ravage whose brain with the sheer amount of rugby and youth rugby this week, because it's Cup week, yay! Let's have a little bit of chat about what we saw or what we didn't see last week. The Scarlets against Exeter.
So, again, this is the second this is to be the 4th friendly game that the Scarlets have played this season that hasn't been streamed. So, obviously, the Barbarians game wasn't streamed, which is difficult to believe. I don't know how we managed to not do that. Like Ospreys in Cardiff in their pre-season fixture streamed that, but we don't stream games for the Scarlets. Apparently, I don't really get it. I understand that money's tight, and I'm sure that it would have cost a couple of quid, but literally one camera on halfway would have done it. Like it was played at Sandy Park. It's not like they don't have the facilities for it. I'm sure they had a camera. To be fair, a little bit surprised that Exeter themselves didn't stream it. You would normally expect like an English Premiership team to stream the game. So to be fair, it's not all on the Scarlets. But yeah, it's just frustrating. We as fans, we want to watch our team. And not everyone could. I know a fair amount of Scarlets fans did make the trip to Exeter, and fair play to everybody who did. But for those of us who couldn't, it would have been nice. And it just always feels like the Scarlets are behind the curve on online stuff to me. Compared to the other regions, and it feels like we think our audience are all like 65, and so whenever we're promoting stuff, it's always with like physical signs or call this number or something, and it's not. It needs a bit of a refresh. Like we've seen today, that the video announcing the team with all the kids, that's gone down really well. Got to be honest, some of the other regions have been doing that for a while already now, but we love it. More of that, and I'm just encouraging the Scarlets, please just put a bit more oomph behind the online stuff and make, because remember, the game is only 80 minutes a week, so in between all of those 80 minutes, you've got to give us something to be looking at and talking about in between. Like, look at the announcement videos that all the other regions are doing for their signings, and we're just like, here's a photo of him, look, he's signed. Like, it's just something. I don't know, Mark, what do you think? Am I being harsh?
No, it's come up quite often with Crease 16 as well in the meetings. It was very much a focus of, they only think they've got 50% of the full-time equivalent people working on the social media side of things. So to put that in perspective, there's only 3 people currently employed by the Scarlets to work on the social medias. I'm not too sure what they do exactly, but apparently they want 6 people in that position. So when that happens, how that happens, I don't know. But that was their side of things, let's say, when we talk about that. But not streaming a game. I mean, they've got all the cameras there for their own analysis. It's not an extra camera. You could have literally set up a phone on a little pod, looking at one of the laptops that's showing the game from the main camera, and hit Facebook Live and just done that. And it would have been literally, it would have taken 30 seconds, and they could have done it. It would have been no issue whatsoever. So that's just a pain in the ass. But onto the game itself.
Well, we didn't watch it, so it was a fairly hefty defeat, shall we say?
I'm not saying it's line.
No, but I'll just bring up the team sheet. I've got it here somewhere. Hang on. One of these in the book. Here we go. Right. So it reminded us a bit because we said, didn't we, on the pod last time? We said, what do we want to see from this game? We said we want to see the team that's going to play against Munster getting a hit out. That is not what we got. So our team was as follows. Sam O'Connor, not a problem there. Is it Luke Morgan? No. Lewis Morgan, sorry. I've only got L Morgan in my notes. Lewis Morgan.
You need to pop up anyone you don't know.
So Lewis Morgan's last game was against Cardiff in pre-season. That was the game as well where we said at the time we wish we'd have seen the proper team in that game. There was Joe Jones at tight head. Remember him. Morgan Jones, Jack Price. Okay, fair enough. A fairly strong second row. Neither of whom are playing this week, tomorrow.
Started.
Yeah, starting.
Jack Price is on the bench.
Jack Price is on the bench. O Davis.
Owen Davis. He's a Llandovery boy. He's someone actually asked a question on, I think it was on Twitter, quite a few weeks ago. I said, is there anyone in the Llandovery side who you think might be able to make it at the Scarlets? And he was one of the boys I picked up, and from all accounts, he gave a good showing of himself.
Okay. Then Luca Giannini, who we know.
Definitely Wanderers boy. He should be with the under-20s now.
And then Carwyn was back. That's good. Again, not playing this weekend, which is, Then Ethan Jones. So Ethan Jones' last game? Evan, sorry. Evan Jones's last game. Cardiff pre-season. Hasn't even been on the bench for us, I don't think, since.
He's been, I think he was with the Quins start of the season. And
he's gone back to RGC.
He went back to RGC Christmas time. So I really don't know what the plan was with him.
He was partnered by Charlie Titcombe, who again was his half-back partner against Cardiff in pre-season. Charlie Titcombe, who's had one start for us, as we mentioned it before. Ryan Combe again. So it's the same 9, 10, 11 as played against Cardiff. We've spoken about Combe. Scott Williams got a start, first start for us this season, and scored a try. Again, nowhere to be seen. He was captain in this game. There was Gabe McDonald, Tommy Lewis, who Tommy Lewis wore the 14 jersey in both games as well. And
he is starting, yay!
He is starting, yay! And then Jack Davis, who I have to say that Jack Davis is the most Scarlets name. And then the bench is like, there's a guy on there called Plessis.
Will Plessis, he's an under-20s boy.
Is he South African?
I have no idea. He played for Ammanford at the start of the season, and I haven't seen him since. I believe he was named. I think he might have been named in the under-20 squad. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. So but he is a young back rower.
In terms of first liners who were on the bench, you got Harry O'Connor, Ewan Shenton, who we haven't seen much of, but we believe he would have played more if he wasn't injured. Teddy Leatherbarrow, Ben Williams, Archie Hughes, Eddie James.
Leatherbarrow withdrew pre-game.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Well, he's on the bench this weekend.
I know, so at least he's fit. That's the main thing.
Yeah. So try scorers, I think Jack Davis was involved in 2 tries, scored 1. There's a very nice try. Sorry,
he was involved. Lewis Morgan picked up a try off the back of a maul. Nice to see it. And then for Scott Williams and who had the other try? Combia. Jack Davis was the main man. He was the provider. He gave the try assist, both big long breaks, and it looks as though he had the most impressive game, or he's come out of it with the most stock improved.
According to Harley, who was there, Titcombe and Tommy Lewis both looked very good, which is no
Tommy
surprise to
Lewis
us.
always rocks out. The one thing we have seen is Tommy Lewis is try-saving tackle. And, if this is what this guy is doing in exhibition games, it's nothing more than that. Think of the work rate you're going to get when you're in a proper URC competitive game. It's just another level.
Yeah. So cool. And like I said, the rumor is about 1,000 people were there. These things tend to be exaggerated, but however many people were there, like I say, shout out to you all. And I hope you managed to enjoy your day out. Apparently, they were all singing their hearts out. So yeah, that's good to see. Right. What are we on to next? So we've done the Exeter game. All right. Do you want to rattle through your community results? I've held you back for long enough.
I normally do this first. I
know, but we had a guest.
I'm sweating. That's how bad it is. We've got quite only a handful of results as usual during the Six Nations, but it's a foul week, so we've got a full roundup of club rugby to come through, and it's cup time with the youth boys. So we've got 12 quarterfinals to run through with them. So as always, we start in the Premiership, and the Drovers had a nice run out against Swansea, 45-19 winners. Now, we spoke a bit about a month ago about, Drovers are on a bit of a slump. They're winning, but they're not winning by as much. So they've gone away to St. Helens. They've won by 45 points to 19. We had one boy in there, Josh Morse. He's another under-20. This is his first start of the season. He's just come back from injury. And they had 6 boys in that Scarlets team for Exeter. So you've taken 6 first teamers out of the Llandovery side, and they've still won 45-19 away. I know Swansea are not exactly top-end table, but it still takes a job to do that. So the entire Llandovery squad is really something different, especially this season. If we go on to games for this week, Llandovery are away at Neath. And
just give us the 5 points now. I mean,
they might as well, but at the same time, with all the news we've had come out this week with the EDC, I would like everyone to pick themselves up. Even if you don't bother going to the Scarlets game tomorrow, go watch East Llandovery. Get a bigger crowd down there than the Ospreys have on Sunday. Just put two middle fingers up to the WIU, because the decision they've given is a load of bullshit. And we've had no clarity whatsoever about why they've been disincluded, other than they think that these WIU want Cardiff in there. And that's as far as it goes. So the other game, we got Carmarthen Quins are also away, and they're away to Swansea. So they don't have the talismanic Titcombe, but there's a chance here that they might pick up a win. I'm really hopeful, but we know how far me and hope goes. There were no games in Championship West this week, but for this week coming, we've got Ammanford travelling to Brecon. That's going to be a hard game. Big one in this league for us is Llangennech at home to Narberth. We've got two of the top 3. Narberth at the top, I believe. Llangennech are currently either second or third. They're second at the minute, but Brecon have got that game in hand. This is a pivotal game, just because we know we talk a fair bit about Narberth, and when they finally face Brecon, they beat Brecon, so they should go all the way. But this is going to be a big test for Llangennech, because they've come back really strong since Christmas time, and I'm excited, but I don't know where to put my excitement, because I want Narberth to come all the way and they're going to be in the Premiership with everything that's going around. But I want to see what Llangennech can do. I'm really excited with how these boys have played over the last few months. I mean, they put like 70-odd points over Crymych. And, Crymych are literally up there, top half of the table. It's not an easy job to do that. So this is going to be a big one to see what happens to second place. Other games now in Championship West for this Saturday. We got Crymych away to Maested Quins, and Newcastle Emlyn are at home to Estalavera. Okay, down into Division 1 West. I had only one game to talk about from last weekend. Hendy going down 17-28 to Wyniled. Games for this week. Titanic clash again. Buryport at home to Llanelli Wanderers. Wellinville are at home to Gysainan. Aberystwyth travel to Gowerton, Whitland at home to One-Eyelid, and Hendy are playing Kidwelly. For the first time in a good few weeks, we get to talk about One West Central, and Brynaman are going away to Scullin. Into Two West, one game from last week, and it was a fair bit of a shock to us all. We did say that this was one to keep an eye out on, but we didn't expect it to go this way. Tenby going down 29-19 away to Lacha, and that has opened up Division 2 West even more. There are a lot of games in hand there, especially for Tenby. But, I think if you look at a maximum point, I think Lacha now lead the way, which, as we say, no one likes Lacha. So it is what it is, but we'll move on. And we're going to games for this week. We've got Army United at home to St. Clair's, Carmarthen Athletic at home to Croyce, Fishguard at home to Lampeter, Milford at home to Mumbles, Tenby travelling to Nantgaredig, and Pontyberem at home to Lacha. 3 West A now, and one big game from last week, Haverfordwest winning 24-23 at home to St. David's. St. David's been doing really well this season, so fair play to them. They put up a hell of a battle. Games for this week, we got Haverfordwest at home to Aberaeron, Llanybydr at home to Neyland, Pembroke Dock Quins at home to Cardigan, and St. David's at home to Pembroke. No games in 3 West B last week. Games for this Saturday, we got Betos at home to Llangadog, Kev Nathan at home to New Dog Stars, Llandilo at home to Binya, and Llandibby hosting Trimsaran, and Tregaron are travelling to Tumble. There is a game in the Cup. We got a Division 3 Cup quarter-final match. Larne are at home to Brincerthyn. So big up Larne. Let's hope they can make it through to the semi-finals. We go into 5 West Central now, and Pennybank lost 31-0 at home to Seven Sisters. Games for this week, we got Cumgrach at home to Pontyates, and Pantavennan hosting Ricos. Now, I've already spoken about this a few times. It's Cup week for the youth boys. So it's not just going to be the Scarlets ones we'll cover now. It's literally 4 games in each section, so I'll cover them all. In the Youth Bowl, the quarterfinals are a amalgamated Caldecott and Chepstow team against Abertwysog. Cwmbran at home to Kidwelly. Come on, Kidwelly. Gowerton at home to Abercynnan, and Rill at home to Cardiff Quins. Into the plate, we got Bargoed at home to Ebbw Vale. Bontland, which is an amalgamation of Pontarddulais and Swansea Uplands, at home to Llandaff. Our boys, Carmarthen Athletic, at home to Ruthen, and another one, Carmarthen Quins, at home to Morriston. And into the big boys now, into the Cup quarterfinals. Caerphilly are at home to Penlan/Dunvant. Gosynan are at home to Pontypool United. An all-Scarlet clash. For some strange reason, they've been tagged together. Lampeter at home to Llandilo. And the last game is Merthyr against Ton Mawr. And that wraps up every single game that you want to be interested in for our community side of things.
Right. So let's talk about some of the news then. So we've been putting this off. So we touched on it slightly there. So the new EDC, Elite Domestic Competition, has been the participants of it. Well, 9 of them have been announced. We think that Cardiff are going to be added to it, but the Scarlets representation in there is Llandovery and Carmarthen, and both of them
Carmarthen Quins.
Carmarthen Quins, sorry.
I'll make the difference, but means the world.
So I think it's fair to say that from day one, both of these wanted to be in it. There was never any question of them not being in it. I think a lot of people are a little bit confused as to what this competition is going to be, because I think some people think it's a revamp of the Welsh Premiership, but it's not. It's a new development tournament that is part of a completely different board, and it's going to be played between September and December for the league format, and then there's going to be a cup competition after the Six Nations. The reason that there's a break at the Six Nations is so that there is no clash with the under-20 Six Nations. So that tells you who they expect to be playing in these teams. Is there's going to be players vying for the under-20s spot. So it's a development tournament first, I think it's fair to say. And yeah, like I said, a lot of the teams who are in it, especially the Scarlets contingent, always wanted to be in it. There was never any question of them not being in it, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, I just don't want. I hope people don't think that this is like a revamped Premiership or trying to improve the Premiership, because it's not. It's a different thing that's serving a different purpose.
Yeah, it's as though we've looked at the Curry Cup, we've looked at the NPC over in New Zealand. We're trying to emulate those sorts of things. I mean, personally, I think we should be going our own way and trying to do something slightly different. But what that is, again, that's something way out there. But as far as a next step level, this isn't your traditional home and away round robin, 18 plus games a season. This isn't that. This is a purely development focused, development based competition. And we're hoping it pays dividends. I know I just touched a little bit on a team that didn't make it, and for reasons no one has truly been able to fathom. But it's looking promising for the teams that are in it. It's just how it's going to work moving forward.
Be interesting to see.
We know it's a
go on.
3-year ring fencing. So how do teams come up into it if they want to? There's a lot of things that are still unknown.
I wouldn't be surprised if promotion to it and relegation from it almost never happens, because I don't think it won't be based on a sporting thing. It won't be the winner of the Premiership gets promoted. It will be an application process and then duly considered, and etc. etc. Yeah, like you said, it's just on the league length, like the not the September to April, like typical league length. Just to reiterate what you said there, Mart, is that it's like a development tournament that they have all around the world, and it is, while people may be thinking that's not what they're used to, it isn't unusual either. Just because it's not something that we haven't done in Wales before doesn't mean it's weird. It's something that's very common in all the other places around the world who do stuff that's similar to this. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how the squads are made up. Is it going to be purely youth players, or is it going to be like experienced pros in there to help develop it? If so, that's going to have to be very carefully planned, and I do believe that there is going to be quite a lot of oversight from like up above of how this is being done. But yeah, I don't know. Do you know what is going to happen to the Premiership? Because obviously a load of Championship teams are going to have to be promoted into it.
Yeah, so
do we have any idea what that's going to be?
From the clubs that I've spoken to, the top 5 in both Championship West and East will be moving up to reform not a new Welsh Premiership, but it would be practically all new because you'd only have a few teams left over. And when we're not sure if there's going to be an extra team in there to make it up into even numbers, but from everyone I've spoken to, they're assuming that at least 5 from West and East are going up. So we're looking at another 13 teams in there for next season. I mean, they've got to move to an even number, surely. They've got to maybe have a playoff between the 2 6th-place teams or something, because I can't be dealing with this bloody odd team league shenanigans. It does my head in, and I'm pretty sure it does the club's head in. Because if you're not playing week in, week out, how are you going to get boys to commit? They want to be playing. That's the whole reason they come in to play rugby. They want to play every week. And if you're giving them break weeks here or there, it's just going to bore them, and that's going to lose players.
Yeah, so I guess it's just wait and see from this point onwards. Congratulations to all the teams that have been put into it, and we do hope that it turns out that to achieve what we want it to do, which is produce players who are able to play for the regions and play at that level. So one team that's not going to be a part of it is Llanelli. So I'll let you lead the way on this one, Mark. So we've known pretty much what was going to be happening for a while, and it's been officially communicated during the week by the Scarlets, an official press release, that essentially Llanelli RFC are no more. So I'll just let you share your thoughts on not just the fact that Llanelli RFC are essentially as they were no longer existing, but also the way it was communicated and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a massive cop out from the Scarlets. They've said it's. Well, I can read the statement to you. I can find. They withdrew because of a lack of playing resources, and it wasn't playing resources. It was money. It was 100% money-based decision. Yes, money leads into how many players you got, but it was money first and foremost. There was around 100k gap in what they needed to produce, and they just didn't want to give it, and that's what began the withdrawal process. So, if we move on from that, I mean, I'm I'm really annoyed and I'm really fucking pissed off, and I want to go to down on them. I really do. But if we move on from that, we go into what else the statement says, and it very clear, very plain. Llanelli RFC and the Scarlets are and always will be the same club. So in 2003, when regionalisation came in, Llanelli RFC became the Scarlets. And then a new Llanelli RFC baby was born, and that was put into the Welsh Premiership. That's basically what they're trying to tell us. Now, a lot of people don't care, but the 95% of the people that don't care are and always have been Llanelli RFC fans. And the people that do care are the ones who are from outside of Llanelli. So we've got something like 60 odd clubs in our area, and about 50 of them, I'd probably assume, and they probably feel a bit alienated by this, especially the fans, just because they've been told the team you've been supporting, your regional team you've been supporting, it's not a region, it's a club. Now, I know when it all started, it was all about the standalone club status, but over the years, there's been developed, Llanelli Scarlets to Scarlets, and that was a sort of what, at least I believe, is then really taken on. Okay, we are a region, we do encompass everybody, but this statement basically says no, fuck that. We're not a region, we're still a club, and yeah, we'll just take all your best players. That's literally all I read it as. And as for me, I've given my 2 pence where I can. I'm a member of the Crease 16 board. So I voiced these decisions a few weeks ago when the letter came out, and it just was. How hard is it to say that we've evolved from just a club into a region as well? It's not hard to say that. You can say the name has evolved from Llanelli RFC to the Scarlets, but you can't say we've evolved from a club to a region. It's really not difficult. And facts are, obviously, Llanelli have always pulled players in from everywhere. There's no doubt of that. No one can argue that, because that was the highest level of rugby in West Wales. It just is what it is. But for them to just disacknowledge what all these clubs are doing.
Yeah, it was, the way that it was worded for me was a bit of a cop-out, in that it was kind of trying to make out like Llanelli RFC aren't gone. They're still here. The Scarlets were always Llanelli, which is a little bit hard to take when Llanelli RFC and the Scarlets existed concurrently for 20 years. It's and I know this is going to be touching on a sore spot for a lot of people, and I'm sorry about that, but it's like, oh no, they're not gone. It's us. They're still here. They're just you've been looking at it wrong. It's like not really. And the whole thing about the money, and you voiced a number there that isn't in any of the official statements, but it's what you've heard from other places. It's kind of a little bit hard to accept. One of the reasons that it's hard to accept is Cardiff RFC is still going alongside Cardiff Rugby, and like Cardiff
Newport RFC is still going.
Cardiff have been double, triple broke, like at times, and they've managed to keep Cardiff RFC going as well as the regional sides, but we haven't. And someone pointed it out today, and I'm going to be very careful how I say this because I don't want it to come across in the wrong way. So there's something like 5 non-Welsh qualified players in our starting pack for tomorrow. Now, to be absolutely clear, I have no problem with that. The Scarlets has always been a team that had non-Welsh qualified players in it. And if you were looking at how you would build a regional side these days, you'd say young Welsh players and experienced non-Welsh qualified players. So I've got no problem with that. However, you have to look at the money that some of these players will have to be on to attract them to the Scarlets. And if the figures that you suggested there, Matt, are accurate, that's like one highly played player's salary. And, you know, I love all of the Scarlets players, even if it's like 3 or 4 highly paid Scarlets players' salaries. If you sat those players down and said to them, listen, it's you or Llanelli RFC, I don't think any one of them would say, oh, yeah, you should pick me. I think they'd all understand. So, you know, if it's difficult not to see it as players in the first team have been prioritized over the existence of Llanelli RFC. And like I said, the way that the statement was worded for me was a little bit, well, no, it was a cop out in my opinion. The way it was worded and came out trying to kind of dismiss what has been the case for the last 20 years. So yeah, so it's a disappointing saga, especially after what the original statement was, which was, oh, Llanelli's going to be a development side and it's going to play, playing friendlies and things, and that never happens. And so I think people would be within their rights to feel misled about that. And yeah, I don't know. I think I've gone on enough there. It's just, you know, if the Scarlets had come out and said, listen, we haven't got the money to run both sides, because Llanelli RFC are owned wholly by the Scarlets. And if they'd come out and said, look, we've made the hard decision, and just owned it and said, we ain't got the money, and just cut it there, that would have sucked, but people, I think, would have learned to accept it. It's the trying to tell people, no, you see, you've misunderstood, trying to tell people that they've got the wrong end of the stick, that for me is something that I wouldn't have done.
So, I mean, the badge is gone.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Okay, I'm not a big fan of the badge. I'm not a big fan of feathers in general, especially when it comes to Wales. But that's me personally. But this is, you know, over 150 years of history, and they're trying to bandwagon it on to the Scarlets. Yes, a lot of it can be transferred, and they are trying to say that, but not all of it. I mean, your colours are gone. I mean, Llanelli started as Navy. You know what I mean? They didn't start as the Scarlets. There's so many little things like that people, well, the people had. It was a knowledge of your history. I mean, the Scarlets, as in the Scarlets rugby side, only goes back to 2003. If you look for a side named Scarlets, you're not going to find it. If you look for a team nicknamed Scarlet, yes, you will, and that's the defining factor there. So if they wanted to do this, it should have been done in 2003. They should have. Okay, if you want to change your name, fine, by all means, but don't have Llanelli RFC with everything exactly the damn same in the Welsh Prem. They could have given them a different name, or even called them seconds. It would have made that massive bit of difference. But here we stand 21 years later, and a lot of people with, you know, a fair bit of salt rubbed in the wound.
Yeah,
And
I think because a lot of people, and we get it all the time, I'll just change the Scarlets name to Llanelli RFC. And I think if you were a fan, and this goes back to kind of my point about the age profile of some of the fan base as well, to be fair, if these people were Llanelli fans beforehand, I can see it. Cool, you know, I understand. But a lot of people aren't. And, you know, like Lee G, who's not here to give his opinion, he's unavailable tonight. He's very clear, like, I'm not a Llanelli fan, I'm a Scarlets fan, and they are different for him. So, you know, and, you know, I've said on the pod before, you know, I'm an outsider. I completely admit to that. And there was a time when I was like, yeah, just call it Llanelli. I don't see what the big fuss is. But since I've gotten to speak to more people around it, I've understood why that doesn't work for some people. And I do think I do think there is a responsibility for the Scarlets to be representative of the region as a whole. And that's what's so good about this Origins round. And the Scarlets, to be fair, a couple of other bits of news that I think we should touch on before we go. They've announced a few initiatives, haven't they, about what they're going to do around the Origins round. What were some of the other things they were going to do? Can you remember?
Yeah, they put out a statement. I'm going to avoid part of that statement because it might not seem like much on the front of it, but it's a big shot to crease 16. So let me try and find the where is it? I'm flying blind by but this is normally Lee's bloody forte, finding all the stuff. Oh, here we go. Supporters update on community and match day experience.
Oh yes, yeah.
They basically just talked about everything that they're currently doing. So part of the URC round, running the mini festivals, which brilliant, absolutely great. They've always done it. I think the last one my boy played in was the one before the Clermont game, which was pretty good. More to that, they do player visits where not quite often you get first teamers. You'll get people on the fringes. Like, I think 2 years ago, we had Harry and Sam O'Connor come out for our club. Sometimes you get the big boys if you're lucky. But they'll come, they'll run a training session with one of the hub officers. You know, you get all flags, you get all stuff. And obviously they do the initiatives where you can have, tickets for really cheap, etc., etc. This is something new for this season, which I like. They've been inviting schools into the captain's runs, on the Thursday and Friday mornings, which, I think that's an absolutely brilliant thing to do. And there's no harm or foul in doing it. It's not as though you're going to give away trade secrets to a bunch of school children. So why not do it? And fair play to them. That's one they've hit the nail right on the head with. So I will congratulate that. Getting the kids to go down there, I don't think my kids' school had much notice. I think it was on the Monday. We were told they could go down on the Thursday. But other than that, absolutely brilliant. I made my boy take his ball down. Got a few extra signatures. We're going well. Almost filled up for this season. I'm happy with that. What's this? They've started a new inclusive community club, which has been delivered at Coleg Cigar every Wednesday. And they're looking at setting up more clubs in Ammanford, Carmarthen, Haverfordwest, and Aberystwyth. They also hosted a deaf inclusion event before Christmas. So, another great looking outside of just the Scarlets and what they want to develop. They've also got a wheelchair rugby roadshow planned for April across all 3 counties. So across Carmarthenshire, Pembrokeshire, Ceredigion, for anyone who's outside of these areas. And they're also, the community team, which is which I just mentioned, hub officers, so people employed by the Scarlets or WIU to go into schools and do rugby sessions. They're also facilitating 30 of these fit, fed, fun camps around the region in socially deprived areas.
Yeah. So that's
now, I don't know what constitutes as a socially deprived area, but if as far as I'm concerned, all of Wales is a socially deprived area, considering some of the places outside. But that's just me. I'm just weird like that. They're hosting a walk-in rugby touch festival at Dyfrdyn Aman School, which was last Friday. So I haven't heard anything off that. So have to check in on that. And another thing they started this season was a Sporting Memories Club. So more for older gentlemen to come in and just retell some of their favourite stories about when they've been at Straddy Park or whatever. And Roy Burgess, who scored that try in 1972 against the All Blacks, he actually brought that ball in quite recently. And as we heard from Javan Sebastian, he's still very much involved in the world of rugby, heading up he's heavily involved in the Carmarthen schools, Dewar Shield side. So, very knowledgeable person we're there to talk to. And so there's a lot of great stuff in there. I'm not going to touch on the next part of the letter because it pisses me off. It's about fan engagement and contacting trying to contact the Scarlets about it, which we've already overrun by about half hour. So I don't want to touch on it, and a lot of people probably never heard me swear as much as I have tonight, because that's how angry I am. But so I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, well, I think that brings us to the end of the show. I can't think of anything that we've missed. Normally
I think the only
Lee
thing
is
we
the one who
haven't
brings
really-
it to the end.
Yeah. I think we're both here like, where's Lee? He does this. He
Yeah.
leads. What are we doing by here? But no, I know Lee promised a few weeks ago that we'd look through the tables and stuff, the community game, and we just haven't got around to it. We do plan on doing it. I'm hoping to do it sooner rather than later. Definitely by the end of the Six Nations. So, and who knows? I think Llandovery will have rounded up their playoff position by the end of this weekend. So hopefully have a lot more positive news to talk about in that regard next week. But other than that, Scarlets win tomorrow or today for anyone listening. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, everybody.
Try out.
Thank you for listening to the Scarlets Fever podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, rate and review wherever you listen to us, as it really helps us spread the word. You can find us on all the usual social media channels or email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. And remember, whatever the question, rugby is always the answer.
Sports Social Podcast Network.